Hi, Aiden. This is Ed. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Give us a second here where I got my PC working after all, here at least. So Alan should be joining us.
Tell me the host.
Okay. Yeah, he was going to be, he's in Boston, so I sent him the stuff. So if he can join us, he can join us. We do have enough people here. Can we, I don't think we're displaying the video on the, on the cable. Do you see? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do just to share the screen.
Yep.
You see
Okay, very good.
my
We'll
schedule?
be in. Thank you.
Okay. There's really nothing. Okay, share your screen. Welcome to the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust meeting of Thursday, September 8th, 2022. We're at Memorial Hall within Town Hall, 34 West Main Street, Westborough, Mass. This meeting is being recorded. Again, I repeat, this meeting is being recorded. Now, pursuant to Charter Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, no in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted for entirely remote meetings. This is a remote meeting, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means on Westborough TV, Verizon Channel 28, or Charter Channel 192, or on www.youtube.com/Westborough TV. However, in the event we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of Westborough's website an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Note, our times, our approximate agenda items are subject to change. Okay, on today's agenda, we're going to have a call to order. I don't believe we have any approval of minutes. We'll talk about 3 Baylor Avenue, give you an update on the residents at Westborough Station, talk about Endicott Drive briefly, try to get an update on Rogers Road, and then talk about any other business or discussion. We have 4 people in attendance, so we do have a quorum here at Town Hall, and I call the meeting to order. As I mentioned, we have no minutes to approve. We will hopefully get those at our next meeting from Alan. And so we're going to move on to Baylor Avenue. Now, just to give a lead in, and then I'm going to turn it over to Hank and Nancy. We are now the proud owners of 3 Baylor Avenue here in Westborough. We have completed the deed at the beginning of August, I believe, and that's been recorded at the land court, and I've also authorized the transfer of the $48,000 from the trust account to the town's account in payment for the transfer of that property, including the land and the house itself. So, given that, Hank, maybe Hank and why don't you, who wants to go first?
Let Nancy start off.
Nancy.
I'll start off. So first, I got to give a big shout out to Hank. You know, I wasn't available much in August, and he did a great job. I mean, we closed. It was a team effort. You got the insurance, and then also Hank was able to get the DPW to agree to mow the property. It's town property, and he got a lockbox on the property. When I got back, I decided I would go take a look at the property. You can't even get into the backyard, it's still overgrown, but, you know. And of course, the first eyesore that you see is the truck. We all discussed about trying to get rid of that truck. And I have spent quite a bit of time with the Westborough Police Department. We're trying to figure out the correct process. Someone was supposed to get back to me yesterday. They wanted a copy of the deed to confirm it was trust town property. And the belief is from the officer that I spoke to is that as long as it's on town property, they can tow it.
Yeah.
But if he needed to talk to a supervisor, so I'm going to keep following up with the police department. My goal is to get them to tow the truck. I'll report back if we have any issues. You know, it's just a lot of, everybody wants to make sure that they're following the rules correctly. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time any of us have been looking at trying to remove property from what could be deemed private property. Yep. So that is ongoing. I know that there's some cleanup next steps. And one of the things I wanted to ask folks is, you know, we need to probably hire like 1-800-JUNK or somebody to like open and get rid of it. But I know there's a purchase order process for that. I think we need to be able to get in there. So if any RFP, anybody wants to look at the property can get in there and look at it, I'm thinking. So
I went over just on that. Yeah, okay. I think I'm up here on the screen.
You were braver than I was. I did.
Okay. Yeah, no, I did go inside. I'm going to pass some pictures
I've seen it all. I just passed it the other way.
The inside, you've seen some of the
I
front
was inside
inside,
enough
that's
to
the
understand
outside.
what's in there.
And I'm going to go through here on the screen, narrate. I went there yesterday, take some photos as best I could. This is just a view of the entryway that I have up on the screen. What I call the entrance there. There is, again, the entrance looking into a little bit of a hallway towards the back bedrooms. This is a picture of the living room to the left of the door as you come in. As you can see, there is significant amount of stuff. Now, I didn't smell anything. There may be mold in places, but it's basically lots of papers, boxes, other accoutrements. It's, I would not say a biohazard, but that's not my place to say. It's mostly, trash is the best word.
There was some medical equipment in there.
I saw a tank of oxygen.
Oxygen tank, and I think there was an oxygen concentrator.
Yeah. We should be talking into our mics.
I think there might have been, I think I might have seen an oxygen concentrator. Whoever the individual was apparently quite ill.
Yeah.
So there may be other medicines and stuff in there, but by the way, if you look at that photograph in the upper left-hand corner,
Yes.
it looks like the ceiling is stained.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but it's possible that there's water damage in the ceilings again. You won't be able to tell till
we get in there.
and look. I wouldn't be surprised if
Right.
there was water damage to the ceilings.
Okay. I think this is like the front bedroom that's, to the right of the door as you come in. As you can see, here's the bathroom. As you can see, hasn't been used or, once again, similar state. This is a back bedroom on the right side. So second bedroom, the kitchen, and to that back, well, sort of in the center of the picture, if you go to the right, a little hard to see, that goes towards the back door. Kitchen doesn't go all the way to the end of that wall. But once again, it's just loaded with stuff.
Pretty sure the back door is not operational.
It is not operational. I'll show you that in a minute. Here's another picture of the kitchen showing the floor. And you can see the grime on the right. This is a picture looking, as you go into the kitchen to the left, there's I assume a table under there that would be a dining area, small dining area. And I think there may be a slight partition there. There is, if you look over to the right, there's a door. I could not get to it. I think that may be like a utility closet of some kind. That's my best guess. I tried to get a little closer look at it. Once again, that's that door going to the left rear of the kitchen area.
That building has no basement.
Correct. It has no basement.
Built as what they call a slab on grade. So there's a slab, concrete floor.
Mhm.
That's good, though. We don't have to worry about
Well,
flooding.
Right.
So that's-
As you can, so this is looking as you go all the way to the back of the kitchen. To the right is where the back door comes in.
Yeah.
And as Hank mentioned, it's probably not too operational. As you can
No.
see, the main door is off is not attached to the building. It's just leaning there. This is a view from the entranceway looking across the front of the house. There's another room, which there was just no way I could get to it. That may be a third bedroom. So that would be on the front left of the house. And then the house itself, right?
Did either of you see keys? I didn't want to bother you for the numbers. I didn't go in.
Yeah. The keys right here, if you follow my mouse.
No, I mean, did you see any keys in the house? Because one of
No.
the issues is that the truck is locked. The truck is locked, and I know the police were asking, is there any chance there were keys?
I did not. I was not looking. I was mostly just photographing the level of
I might try
debris.
to take a snoop just to see.
Sure.
I think they can Slim Jim it anyway, but it's just a little easier.
Yeah, I would look right there on the entranceway. There's a sort of partition to the left.
Yeah.
There is electricity, and I did turn a light on just to check,
Yeah.
and I unplugged it afterwards. So you may look on that little
Right.
partition as you come in, because of any place that somebody might leave keys would be there. I wouldn't venture any farther, nor would I think of any other place. So that's where it is. So over here on this side, this is the living room, and I think we have 2 windows in there. I'm not sure, but over on this side here, where I'm using my cursor, would be where that possibly 3rd bedroom is. But until we get things cleaned out, we really can't tell the condition or actual layout or dimensions.
You really need to clean out and then go do an inspection to understand. I mean, you need to determine the scope of work for rehabilitation compared to tear down.
Right.
I think we got to get rid of it.
We have to specify the scope of work in an RFP.
Yeah.
I mean, I did kind of a cursory inspection on the outside and have a long list of what needs to be done. But basically, the whole exterior needs to be, I mean, the siding needs to be stripped, the roof needs to be replaced. All the windows need to be replaced, all the doors need to be replaced.
We're probably going down to studs.
Yeah, well, you're certainly going down to the studs.
Yeah.
And of course, when you take the shingles off, you may have to replace some of the siding. It's got an oil heating system with an exterior oil tank. I would not recommend going forward with a 30 to 40 year horizon on an affordable home with oil heating. So again, other than understanding what the rehab is, we also have to go and understand what requirements would we like to put upon energy efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
We have no choice about meeting code. We have to
Right.
bring it up to the current Massachusetts code. The electrical, and I looked at the electrical service. It is in bad shape. That's
When
the
you
wiring
say-
on the
yeah,
wiring on the
talk-
outside of the building.
Okay, it was just the external.
All the insulation is missing off the main cable coming in. It's also not even close to being big enough to meet code. It's probably a 50 amp service.
Right,
I'm not
50, 60.
I'm a little bit out of date on the current code, but it's at least 100 amps, but I suspect by now it's up to 200 amp code.
Right.
So you got to replace the exterior. You're going to have, and oh, by the way, I'm sure that the interior electrical work needs to be upgraded, if not replaced. The plumbing probably needs, we certainly need to replace all the plumbing fixtures.
Yes.
So yeah, we need to get in there and understand.
Okay, so what's step 1?
Step one is
Remove all the junk.
get that sucker cleaned out.
Okay, so
So that's where I get to my question. It's like, we can call any company, but the whole purchase order, I'm unwilling.
I can handle that. I think we just need to get a quote
I'll try to
from
get-
somebody, and if you need help getting in or having them
Yeah,
access it, I mean, we do have that lock on the front, it's like a realtor lock.
They'll probably want to look at it before they quote. I don't know.
Yeah.
and actually, Ed, if you could email me these pictures, I can email them to them and say, this is what we
Sure.
want. And,
Sure.
obviously, they're not going to take oxygen tanks, but we can handle
Well,
any.
Well, I
Maybe we
mean,
will, maybe we will, I don't know. But,
when you go get the quote, you might tell them, hey, what they're not willing to haul away, we'll put a small dumpster out there and they can put it in the dumpster, and then we'll have the dumpster haul away. There's 2 ways to do it. I mean, you can just put a dumpster out there and hire somebody to put everything in the dumpster. That's probably not the best way. Probably better. And there's a couple of,
we could, there's plenty of companies that will do
there's
that.
plenty of companies who will take care of it. I think they'll haul everything away.
Yeah, yeah.
They may
It's like
if
if
you
it's
have
in the
things-
dumpster, it goes, right? That's how they usually.
Yeah, they put a dumpster out there. They'll bring in a truck with a dumpster on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a quote, and depending on the amount, I think if it's less than $10,000,
Yeah, we don't need
we
to,
don't need multiple quotes or
No.
RFPs or anything else.
I think it's less than 50.
And we just,
Yeah.
and tell them they have to invoice the town.
Right, that the town will pay it. I mean, that, we need a PO, and that's, from them.
We need an estimate, we need an
We
estimate.
need an estimate from them.
We'll issue a PO, and Shaw will issue a PO. Tripping over my tongue. child, lady downstairs.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
And if you
Either
hear-
that or I can get the PO number from Linda Smith, who's the, in the finance department, and I can fill out all that information. If you can just focus on trying to find
Either a
some
company that
people.
will hire, like, because I know there's companies where they'll actually bring people and they'll
Yeah,
take
yes,
it away.
that's
That
what,
would be the best. If I can't get that, then we'll just.
I think-
Yeah.
given the fact that we're all busy with, various things, the best thing to do is what I call outsource this.
Mhm.
We may want to have somebody there just in case something comes up that we
And I
feel
Let
is,
them tell you,
And I can probably
if they
do that.
need somebody there, just send an email to us, see who's available when they're coming to be there.
right,
Right.
just so we can sort of watch
Yeah.
and in case we see something that is of import.
Like keys to a 2001 truck would be great.
Well, yeah, although I would think they would prefer to have well, it looks like the paving on the driveway is
That's
for two cars, it's in bad shape, so they may be able to get a truck in there, but it would be best if we can get the car out of there.
We don't care if they drive on the lawn.
Yeah.
No,
The
no,
only thing you're gonna have to do is re-landscape the whole property anyway.
anyway,
Yeah, until I get thumbs up from the police department, I don't know what the timing of the
right,
truck.
but
is.
they can back the
I
truck
don't
right up to
worry
that
about
front
it.
door.
Let them worry about that. They've got to,
I know they'll say, well, we're not responsible for the lawn if.
That's
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
The lawn's
we'll
gonna
drive
be-
on the lawn.
Yeah, drive on the lawn.
We're gonna have to
That's where the door is anyway, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, so they can back up to that, and,
There is room.
yeah, yes,
We can do it this way.
yeah, so if, you can work on that,
Yeah.
getting some
And I'll
quotes.
continue with the police department on the truck.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, just, we can proceed on with obviously getting everything out of there, all the
Once
trash.
it's clean, I mean, if, I've talked with some folks at Habitat, they're willing to have their construction superintendent, who's a licensed contractor,
Oh,
Okay,
come in there and do this. But I told them, Nancy, could have you give the ED a call, I'll give you contact data.
mhm.
But they'll have their guy come in and spend a couple hours, look at
right,
it, and come back to us and say, hey, here's what I would,
Yeah.
here's what I would recommend you do.
right. Hey,
Based
Ken,
on contractor.
yeah, Ken, I'm wondering if you might be available, once we get that set up, for Habitat for Humanity to come in, just because
Sure.
I don't know if you've ever seen a place like this, but just to have a high-level conversation on
Sure.
construction stuff, for a couple hours.
Yeah, and Ken,
Yeah.
so I mean, I believe one of the key things we have to decide is what level of energy efficiency criteria we would like to have this building meet when it's done being reworked.
Right,
My personal opinion is that we ought to go full boat because the town has said they want to be a green community. And for me, full boat means solar cells on a roof.
electric, probably.
Heat pump, heating and cooling system. And all of that means you have to go in there and put in high efficiency insulation.
Yes,
And you can't do that with 2x4 studs.
you gotta come out
you have to
2x6.
frame out the walls. You may want to put insulation underneath the sheathing. I don't know, but that, to me, that's part of a conversation with someone who's done
Energy
affordable home, energy efficient stuff. What are the pros and cons? Because you could possibly get into a lot of expense.
Right. We can always reach out to Mass Housing for asking them, do you know of somebody? Huh?
If they do anything like that.
Well, but then sometimes they can make recommendations.
We can get a home inspector in there too. It'll cost you about $500.
Right. Right. I don't know. We would want to have somebody that I think, what the first thing is just to ascertain,
Just
the sort of level of even getting it structurally and electrically and everything else up to code, and then look at what things would we want to put in place
right.
for.
I think we could get their superintendent to recommend what they would recommend.
The
is done.
superintendent.
Habitat's.
Habitat, okay.
He's a full-time, he's done probably a dozen or 15 affordable homes in the last years.
Okay,
Great.
including a net zero energy home.
okay. Well, once, if you could reach out,
Well, I can get Nancy a name that.
Or Nancy.
a person
Or
to talk
Ken,
to.
I mean, do you want Ken to, I'm happy to talk to him, or do you want Ken to?
He'll let you start and then.
Okay.
Then
And I'll loop Ken in.
Luke
Luke
Ken
Ken
and let
in.
him take care of the actual event, whatever.
yeah, because until we get it cleaned out, there's really not much
Yeah.
we can do in bringing in the next, if you will, wave of engineers and experts. Yep. Okay. Any questions? Sort of
Just
going forward?
if you could send me the picture.
Yeah, I will send you the
That'll help me
pictures.
get the quotes.
I'll resize them a bit because I have them in very large. I could print them.
Right.
I just printed those out
Yeah,
quick, but
yeah,
you can
okay.
keep those
Oh,
if you want.
That's great.
Um,
I might even be able to scan them. Maybe that's what I do. Oh, yeah. All right.
Well, no, I'll give you, I have it all. It's just that they're very large format and it's easier if you're going to email them around for me to reduce them down a bit. Still keep
Yeah.
it's not, we're looking at high fidelity.
But I have to say, this is a little exciting. I mean, I know there's
Oh,
a lot of
super
work to be
exciting.
done, but
No,
I'm just thinking about, in a little bit of time, this is going to be someone's home.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's the idea, is that
Absolutely.
we're going to bring this up to where a family,
Yeah, but I did have a
can have a home.
conversation a while ago with the town's building commissioner about, he said, hey, you got to bring it up to the building code.
Right.
He said, you don't have to bring it up to the stretch energy code. They're pretty flexible there, but we might want to consider doing that. Again, I think when you do this for affordable homes, you got to think about the occupant of the home. It's
They
not
don't need a
someone
big oil
like
bill,
us
they don't-
who probably have a lot of capability to go hire people to repair things and maintain things or do it themselves. And if you look out 20 or 30 years, I believe in 20 years, you'll have a hard time buying fuel oil. That's my personal opinion.
Or it'll be or whatever. Anyhow, the other thing at an appropriate time, and once again, it could be after we're getting it cleaned out and we start to get some people in there, is to involve DHCD to make sure that they're on board, because eventually they're the ones that are going to give a final blessing that this is a affordable unit.
There's DHCD, there's specific DHCD paperwork that we'll
Right.
have to file.
Right.
I would suggest that when we write the RFP, we write it in that the developer has to has to prepare and file the paperwork. And then see what comes back in terms of bids. Because
at the developer.
the developer may come back and say, hey, great idea, but I ain't gonna touch that, you do it. I mean, ultimately, the town has to sign off on the paperwork. But you have to do,
Or the trust does.
well, the owner of the property has
Right.
to go file. I think you'd call it a local action, for a local action unit status to get it into the SHI.
Right.
What that means is part of that is you have to create an affirmative action marketing plan,
Yes.
which says how you're going to market the property, and when you market the property, that you're going to follow DHCD guidelines.
Right.
DHCD guidelines include advertising it around the community and that sort of thing, but it also includes running a
Auctions,
selection of the buyer
Right.
by lottery,
the lottery,
and participation in the lottery
auctions, wrong word.
must include an appropriate mix of underrepresented minorities,
Mhm.
which in a community like Westborough sometimes is difficult.
Right.
So again, if we have to do it, we'll probably have to get a consultant to help it.
Right.
Put it in the RFP, see if the developer will do it, and we just sign the paperwork.
Yeah. So, okay. Anything else that,
It's exciting, getting moving.
yeah, no, it is finally that we have control of the property and we can sort of run the project, appropriately.
Learning curve's pretty steep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a good start as far as if we have other properties similar to this, hopefully not in this degree, of neglect, I would say. And once again, we have to realize that this may have been a very elderly, very sickly person, and they had limited abilities to do things. They didn't have family around, things like that. So, we got to keep that in mind as we, hopefully part of, I say their legacy maybe they've gifted indirectly to the town this property, and hopefully we can bring it up to, a nice house for a family. Okay, let's moving on. The residents at Westborough Station. I did send out, the current status, Alan and I have been working this, is that the town has filed in land court an action basically asking that the land court, first of all, do an immediate injunction, or, stay, if you will, of the increase of the property. Now, prior to that filing, which was done a couple weeks ago, the owners, Northland, on their own did an extension of 3 months. Now, I'm assuming they notified the tenants. I'm not sure. I sent out, I think you all received a letter of what we were sending to the tenants, and that went out yesterday. Should have gone out yesterday. Westborough Youth and Family Services did the actual mailing to the 24 tenants. But it really brought them up to date on where we are. And I do have the filing in the land court. I have the thing. Now, earlier, I believe it was this week, we were informed that the defendants, i.e. Northland and their attorneys, want to bring it to federal housing court, with HUD. Okay. So it.
Chuckling.
Surprise. Now, originally there was going to be the hearing, the first hearing of the land court filing yesterday at 3:30. That was canceled, and in lieu of moving it to HUD. Now, the last note I have from the land court records is that November 7th, I believe, is when there may be a hearing on the pleading to have it moved to federal court, and whether they accept it or not. And Nancy, you probably know better than I that process of, can the federal court just say, no, keep this local, or not? They could deny the pleading and bring it back to,
It's going to be a federal issue, so.
Well, it'll initially be.
It might be.
Yeah. So anyhow, but the attorney, and I don't want to talk too much, but they once again believe that their case is very, very strong based upon the Ardmore case. And if anybody wants to see the 117-page filing, it's only 12 pages of argument. And the rest is all exhibits of the various documents back and forth, the comprehensive permit, et cetera, et cetera. So we're basically in a wait and see state. We will try to keep the people informed, but it's really in the towns and particularly town councils' bailiwick. There's one individual who's our lead there. So that's where that stands. For now, the people are able to continue to live there. They were originally at the end of this month. That was their initial letter that said that you're going to have to vacate, or that, well, your rent's going up is basically what they said, which in effect would be necessitating them to move. Okay, questions on status?
I mean, is Youth and Family Services able to do anything to help folks look for other alternative dwelling? They might be able to. I haven't really discussed that with them. I think, Kate, do you have any insight into that?
If they had the staffing to do that, then sure, but they don't actually have staff to do that. So, I mean, that could fall within the scope of Youth and Family Services. But they would need to really work with probably some other nonprofit in the area to help with that. Because finding housing, looking for housing and helping that process is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
So,
Especially affordable units.
right.
Okay. So,
That triggers in me thinking that as the trust is part of our role as advocacy, should we maybe talk with the Youth and Family Services folks about, should we be supporting them going forward with a proposal to either get some funding or to in the future be able to do some things around inventorying housing availability, or I don't know what the right thing for. You're not going to help with this problem because you ain't got time, right?
we
Problem's not going to go away.
Right. I mean, I would love to see a partnership between the trust and Youth and Family Services to have maybe potentially a shared staff position that is somebody who could do some of the admin for the housing trust, but who could also do housing search. Housing search is like a full-time job in a lot of nonprofit organizations. And it's something that we could benefit here in Westborough from having somebody in that role in terms of helping all of the families in our community, not just the ones who are at risk of things like this happening, which is probably going to happen again in the future with some other property. But, you know, people get evicted all the time, or people are at risk for eviction all the time. And so housing instability is a huge problem. And so to have the finger on the pulse of what the affordable units are in the area in Westborough, but also beyond, and to have relationships with landlords so that when things open up, that they can be the first to know about those things. And so it would really benefit the community to have that type of position.
Right.
The problem is it's my understanding that the town has put a halt on any new hires. So like there's no positions available.
Right.
So that's where, but we're in a unique position as a trust, which is kind of a separate entity. I mean, we're part of the town, but we're also separate from the town. So I'm curious about thinking about using some of our own resources to potentially think about funding such a position.
Now, we do, to the point of, we have an extremely good list of all the affordable units, both homes, condos, and apartments within the town, okay? Because, you know, in conjunction with DHCD, but also planning department, we have a very good inventory of who owns what. Okay, and particularly, you know, for some of the larger landlords, the large apartment complexes and or condos, we know exactly who that is. Now, I think if there was a way where as units became available, I don't know what the process is. Like, for example, let's say a unit at, you know, what am I going to say, over on, names escaping me, but let's assume that there's well, there are units. Let's assume that an affordable unit in one of these, like Park Wests, I'll use that. I think they have affordable units there, becomes available. What is the process they go through? Do they go to DHCD to say, we have an available unit? You know, because somebody moved or passed away or whatever. What is that process of them refilling that? And, you know, do they need to go through a lottery system or what? That is something I think, if you want to take that on, I can work with you on seeing, is there a central, or could there be a central, I'll use the word database, and that may be overkill, listing and process so that people are aware when things come up.
No.
Well, no,
Right
no,
now.
well, no, they don't. I'm saying
Yeah.
so that we would have either through the town, through some collaborative. Now, I don't know, I don't think this comes under the Westborough Housing Authority purview, but a centralized place so that we know, or the town knows, or there's a central place where as affordable units are vacated, that is in a list until they're filled again, and what that process is. Hank?
A good place to start is to, I mean, since we don't have a lot of expertise in this area, but Youth and Family Services either has the expertise or can access it through their networks.
Or
Let them
planning
come forward.
department.
Let them come forward. I mean, let's start a dialogue with the leadership at Youth and Family Services about how would they like us to work with them to deal with the housing instability, affordable housing issues in town, and what are the ways that we can collaborate and work
Existing.
together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of let them come forward and start talking to us. It'd probably take a while to come up with the best way to intervene.
Go ahead.
Yep, I mean, I don't think we can solve the problem quickly or easily, but if we start collaborating and play the advocacy role, yeah, wow, tripping over my tongue again. That's a way to start. And then we need to be careful about making long-term funding commitments,
Yeah.
because we have a pool of funds, but we don't know
The future.
3 years from now whether we'll still have a pool of funds. So making a 10-year commitment of funding, that's probably not going to work. But helping people get started, advocating, using our influence in the community to get the community.
Yeah. If I could make a recommendation, I think step one, and I think it's an educational step, is to ask, like Jim Robbins, our town planner, what is the process, or who do we go to find out the process when a unit is vacated? Give us the steps that goes through, in all these different situations, apartments, homes, et cetera, to the way they get filled, the way they get announced. Is it just, it goes into the lottery system and the HCD takes it from there, and there's nothing much more you can
What
do?
you're going to find is there's multiple processes. There's multiple processes.
Right.
The Housing Authority has processes for people who meet its
Right.
criteria.
Right,
If you're talking about homes that come up for resale,
right.
there's another process. And Westborough Housing Partnership supposedly has a role in that. I have not seen them active in that role for a while. But if you're talking rental stuff, I'm totally out of touch. I don't really know, but I know there's processes for the rental stuff. Don't know what they are.
The rental stuff is tricky because there's also, it's not just, so there's affordable units, that there's subsidies attached to the actual unit. And
Right,
those
right,
are going to be, sort of centralized in a way, but there's a lot of problems with that process. The second issue, though, is that there's other types of subsidies. So people can hold a subsidy themselves,
Like Section 8.
like Section
Section
8,
8 vouchers.
and they can go wherever they want. They can go to into a,
To a regular, non-affordable,
right, exactly.
market rate.
Right. And so, so it's the types of subsidies that some people have, because there's state subsidies, there's federal subsidies, and then it's a complicated process,
Right.
is what I'm saying. And as somebody who worked in the housing field
Yeah.
for chronically homeless adults for, 10 years, I still don't understand the process. I had staff who were housing search specialists who specifically went out and looked for units for our folks because we just couldn't find them.
Right.
It's a full-time job to do that. And so that's what I'm saying in terms of, I will work with Youth and Family Services. I will take that on
Bring something back.
to think about how it is that what are the resources that they need? And I can also talk to the schools, because the schools have a ton of needs with the families who are homeless or housing unstable or who are underhoused or all sorts of different issues. And so I can talk to them as well to figure out what are their needs and then kind of come back to the trust to say, hey, these are the needs of our service providers in town. This is where their gaps are, and then think about possible ways to fill those gaps.
And the more we can also understand of the process, and granted, there may be multiple processes depending upon the nature of either the tenant and or the, housing per se, like if it's owned by Westborough, the housing authority, or it's just a DHCD registered property, like a house that's deeded, the more we can understand that process, then maybe that can decide, well, how much can we do, or are we kind of out of the loop? Like a DHCD, there was a house that we looked at on Indian Pond Road that, was under DHCD. They were trying to sell the house. They were having difficulty finding a buyer, use the word acceptable or a viable buyer, qualified buyer, so they were very much in that mix of things. So this is where who has, I'll use the word authority or responsibility for different classes, and just understanding that I think would be helpful, okay, to see how much can we or others in town do versus, well, this is really in the hands of a third party, and there's really nothing we can do as a trust or that Youth and Family Services can do to facilitate a process. So I would be very interested in understanding, is there a way to slice up into 3 or 4 categories, the housing and who decides and who provisions stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. So if that can be part of your.
Yeah, I'll try to break it all down.
At least give it a first shot.
Yeah.
We don't need to get all the nits and grits. Doesn't have to be a tone, but at least a way that we can, get a vocabulary to talk about it. We can better understand the various silos of housing provisioning by different agencies. That would be very helpful. Okay, thank you. Endicott Drive. I know we got off on the side here, but that's fine. We're right on time.
Endicott Drive, a couple of things. I don't remember how much we had covered the last time, but we did go to the one-stop shop meeting.
Yep.
Got a lot of input, basically saying that, whatever we do over there is going to involve some kind of special permit activity. Other things, one of their key recommendations was to make contact with the Zoning Board of Appeals leadership, which I did. I had a long, involved conversation, got educated about Zoning Board of Appeals with the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. He was very supportive. Well, one key message from the ZBA leader, who by the way is an attorney. He's not, I don't think he's practicing as an attorney now, but he has a lot of background in zoning law and that sort of thing. One key message was that the Zoning Board of Appeals would be very reluctant, wouldn't be right for them to offer variances to to us, the Westborough Housing Trust, as developers, that they wouldn't be willing to offer to other developers on similar terms and conditions. So that makes it somewhat complicated to get the kind of variances we might need to develop the property. Biggest issue being that we don't have the frontage on the property. Another issue being that, hey, the property is currently zoned M1. M1 zoning says that the allowable usages on the properties have to be approved specifically by the town meeting. So it's a municipal zoning category. In fact, just to put an extension on, just to redevelop the library, they're going to have to go to town meeting and get a zoning approval for that particular action. By the way, zoning approvals at a town meeting requires a 2/3 majority, supermajority. That's part of what the state's been fighting. It may be somewhat challenging to get a 2/3 supermajority because, abutters will start intervening. They don't want things to happen and such. There are other ways to get this. Another way to get the zoning changed is to go with the so-called friendly 40B. The ZBA didn't have a specific opinion on which way to go. I've also talked with, I had some correspondence back and forth with Mass Housing Partnership, asking them, do they have a strong opinion on whether to go with friendly 40Bs or to go with ZBA processes and such. And they kind of said, hey, that's really up to the local community to figure out how they want to go about dealing with these issues. And so the Zoning Board of Appeals, Zoning Board of Appeals chair told me, hey, go talk to Jim Robbins, the town planner, and see what he wanted. What we probably ought to do is get the planning board representation, building department representation, Zoning Board of Appeals representation, and get together in an informal meeting and kind of sort out what are the options, what are the benefits and downsides of choosing different options and try and agree on an approach. So it's now, I've left it with Jim Robbins. He's gonna try and coordinate a meeting between myself or whoever from the trust and the ZBA chair, the building commissioner, and the planning. The town
ZBA chair.
See if I can-
That's
I forgot the name.
that's okay. It doesn't matter.
I apologize.
Okay.
It happens to be the gentleman who owns and operates the Westborough Tennis Club.
Oh.
Justin, Jason?
Justin,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually, I'm aware of him. He's very good.
I mean,
I don't know him personally, but yeah, he's very good.
really nice guy, and he's also on the Conservation Commission, by the way.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm waiting for Jim Robbins. I'll follow up with him this week and say, hey, when are we going to get together? I think Jim's pretty busy with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so that meeting would be interesting. I think I like that idea. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to lead it, but I wouldn't mind sitting in because I think this would be very educational.
I must have spent 45 minutes on the phone with Justin.
Yeah.
Where he was, he said, well, I don't know how to attack this elephant. Yeah. Here's SM1, you can go for a zoning change, you can go for variances. Maybe you can change where the driveway, maybe you can, there's ways of interpreting the zoning laws so that if you were to bring the driveway in from Lyman Street, you might have enough frontage that the variances you need that are lesser.
Well, that's what we need. We need to have the least amount of objectionable plan and still move forward. Yeah.
So again, this is going to be a complicated project, and we just have to keep pushing it a little piece at a time.
Okay. Well, that sounds like the next good step. We know this is not a short-term project, and getting the best minds together. And looking at the various alternatives, I think, we do have an opportunity there. And the town is very supportive, and the master plan really is very supportive of more affordable housing.
Yep.
And, we know that there's so few affordable homes, and by homes I mean individual housing of some kind, even if it's a duplex, things like that. There's a lot of apartments, there's a lot of condos, but I mean relatively within the inventory that we have, but they have limitations, especially for younger families. They're not optimal in some cases. Okay. All right, thanks, Hank. Just keep us surprised. If the meeting comes up, maybe you can, just let everybody know. But Nancy, it would be great if.
Nancy would be great to have someone who has
Legal.
Is really comfortable dealing with other attorneys.
You've done that once or twice?
Oh, just a little bit, yeah. Not a problem.
Okay, all right. The only other business, I don't know if I had done it. I was on a show called Frank and Mary. Did I mention that last time? Yeah, okay.
Nice, well, very well done.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah,
Yes, you watched.
I watched it. And
It was just to bring people up to date and all the things we're up to and things like that. Once again, it's doing advocacy. It's keeping people informed. I think, the more we do that, the more we keep citizens in the community aware of the projects we're doing. We will have support when we do need it at town meetings and in other venues.
Yeah, Shelby Marshall did the narration,
The interview
facilitation. And so
and she's pretty up to date on.
Yeah, clearly she's an advocate.
Oh, yes. And she understands SHI, subsidized housing inventory, et cetera. So she asked appropriate
I think we
questions.
got very strong advocacy and linkages to the planning board, to the select board.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah. And we just need to keep cultivating and keeping people informed. I think that's, as long as there's, a lot of transparency, it is what it is, and people will decide to what degree they want to support. Okay, any other business or discussions people want to bring up?
just,
Yes.
I've talked with, I asked Linda Strand, the Housing Authority ED, to see if we could get on the agenda in October, November to go talk to their board and get some better understanding of how do we move the proposal forward with that board.
The Rogers Road.
I haven't heard back from her, but we'll keep pursuing that, and we'll try to get on to go visit with their board of directors.
Yeah, I apologize. I skipped that item. Okay, yeah, so you're looking at that in November,
October, November.
October, November. Okay. Do you know when they meet?
3:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. I think it's, I can't remember what Tuesday.
Yeah, it's some Tuesday. The third Tuesday?
I think it's the third Tuesday or something.
Whatever.
No.
It should be on their website, whatever. But anyhow, yeah, once you hear about that,
Once I'm able to set it up, she says yes, we'll let you know.
okay. Sounds good. Anything else? Okay, given that, it's just coming up on 10 a.m. Let me just, I have Ken, I was just trying to unmute you.
I'm all set.
Okay, any questions you have?
No, I'm learning. every
Okay.
day.
Question I had with you, I know the select board had a meeting on Tuesday, and I know that one, I didn't see it on their agenda, but it's normally, to appoint, do the appointment process.
Mhm.
Have you heard anything?
No,
Okay. I know they were very busy with the old Regal Cinema deal,
Right.
trying to sort out the various proposals. So they may be deferring that. I'll try to check in with Alan and make sure that you're on their next agenda. So we do that. There is some training that has to be done. I'm going to ask Wendy Mickle, our town clerk, whether it's good to start that. It's basically rules about open meeting, like, you can't deliberate outside of, a public meeting, things like
Sure.
that. It doesn't take too long. I'll see even prior to the actual vote of appointment, if that may be something you can start on in your copious spare time.
yeah, that's fine. I know Wendy, so if you just give her my email,
Yeah.
if there's
I will.
anything, or I can go down and meet with her. It's not a problem.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. All right. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Oh, second, sorry.
Second. Okay. So I think we do need, let's see.
How do we-
Actually, we have everybody
Everybody's here,
here. That's, because Alan and Leah are not here. So, but why don't we do a roll call vote? So for adjournment,
Roche, yes?
Bain, yes.
Armitage, yes?
Storm, yes.
Okay, good. All right, wonderful. And thank you, Westborough TV, as always, for covering this. So we are signed off.